Welcome to Rank, the weekly podcast about Roblox group management, Discord bot development, and building software that scales. Let's get into it. So I guess the first topic I'm going to go into is just kind of like the origin story of RankBlox and kind of how I created it and what made me want to start it. I guess it was just the project that somebody had suggested that I work on, and it's kind of never expected it to grow to the scale that it is today. But when I first started, it was more of just kind of a commission for somebody, but it ended up turning into a full-on public project that anybody can use. And I think it probably took me about like maybe 3 days to make a baseline like minimum viable product to release. And surprisingly, we actually gained a decent amount of people interested in the project originally when we first started. Probably that was close to about 4 years ago at this point. And obviously when I started that, I didn't really plan for scaling. So there's definitely lots of things that if I would have restarted, I wish I would have changed in terms of being able to scale, and lots of little issues that I didn't really look into much, like in terms of quality control when I first started. So there's lots of things that are still to this day I'm still trying to fix. So definitely, I guess in terms of like development, I would definitely recommend just kind of taking your time with things. And like obviously you can do things just for fun, and you don't have to always focus on making the best possible product originally, and that you can always adjust, update, and grow something, even if it's small or not even very good to begin with, because that's obvious. I had basically no experience with development with Roblox API or anything, and I had to basically learn it all to be able to make anything that's even relatively decent. And then let's get into like a next topic. So why most Roblox groups fail to scale. I think from my experience with running Roblox groups and just like seeing other people, it's kind of, to be honest, just maintaining activity is probably the hardest task of actually like running a Roblox group, because you can at least get a couple people into your server, but just maintaining, like keeping those people active, engaged, and actually doing things is very difficult. Um, and like from what I've experienced, you really need to be super dedicated and like constantly be doing events, constantly be recruiting, because you're always going to have somebody who's joined. It's like, oh, and they're so active, all of a sudden you never hear anything from them again. And it's kind of just something that happens. And it kind of sucks because maybe like they spent a bunch of time doing an application, you reviewed it, and then maybe you trained them or whatever, and now all of a sudden you don't have somebody in that position because you have to remove them because obviously they're not doing anything. I think that's definitely the main thing that I've seen. Um, and then also other issues is just like it's hard to compete because other groups out there already have hundreds of thousands of members, millions of members, and it's like, why would somebody join your group or server with like 10 people in it when they could join one that's already active, already has hundreds of thousands of users, and people are actually playing on it right now? Because when they visit your group, they're going to see your game and see nobody's playing it and be like, nope, I don't want to play because no one's playing it right now. And obviously at the scale that you're at, you're not able to keep people in game at all times. So it's just very difficult with that. Um, that's obviously, I think, top issues I've seen. And then in terms of like being able to manage your group, it's like there's lots of little things that are just a pain. In terms of like giving people permissions and stuff. And from experience, people you think are trustworthy, you giving them permissions, and they just raid your group randomly. They remove everybody from your group, and basically you have to start from scratch. And that's on and on top of that, now you have somebody that did that like rated your group. So people are going to look into that and be like, oh, why would I join this group? Because they've been rated before. I'm just going to join and put all my time in here, and then I'm gonna lose everything. So obviously you don't want to have issues like that. I think RankBlox kind of helps a lot with that, with kind of centralizing a area where you can see all the audit logs, everything that's going on, to prevent someone from just being able to go and change 80 people's ranks and you have no idea unless you go into Roblox, into the audit logs and specifically check. There's no way of you actually knowing that that ranks are being changed. So that's obviously a pretty big issue that can happen, and I think RankBlox can help out a lot, especially with it being a free tool that you can just use. Um, and I guess kind of in terms of like in-game management, like I feel um, like a lot of people also just look at your group and you're like, oh, you don't have enough technology in your game. Like you can't change people's ranks in your game. You can't do all kinds of different things in your game. So I feel like definitely another issue is just making a game that's half decent for whatever specific group you're doing. If you're a military group, like having good gun systems, having a good map that people can play on, and stuff like that is definitely challenging and requires either a lot of funding, or you're already a good developer, or you have a friend that's willing to basically work for free. And I feel like that's very rare that that actually happens. And it's just some of the main like different things that make actually starting a group very difficult, because it's almost like you basically already have to have like thousands of Robux to even be able to think about starting a group, because it's thousands of Robux to get everything you need. It's not like it's free. You have to pay for the Robux group. You have to pay for all the roles, and it adds up. And then you have to get a map, and then you have to get developers, and then you have to find people to join. And sometimes you have to use advertisements to get people to join. And now all of a sudden you're down 15,000 Robux and you don't see any funds coming in because no one's in your group yet. So it's like, it's very difficult, especially with all the competition. It's like you could put 15,000 Robux in your group, and then you compare it to these big groups. They are making like 100,000 Robux a day. So they're obviously going to be able to have better developers and more developers, and it's just very difficult to compete in that sense, I guess. And then let's move on to another topic. So I guess in terms of RankBlock specifically, like my goals and just kind of different things that I've noticed and experienced with it, it was just kind of like just scaling is really something that I never planned for. Because our original API basically just directly integrated right into our bot. So if you couldn't run multiple instances, which you need to do for sharding, because once you hit 2,500 servers, you cannot run a single shard. It will not start. It'll tell you no, and you can't actually run it. So that's definitely a big issue. So I had to basically completely redesign the whole backend system for that. And right now it's basically we have a external public API, and it has to use a internal API to communicate with every shard. Right now we just have two because we're still pretty small. So it has to manually message each shard individually. So I had to make a bunch of endpoints for that to communicate. It's just kind of a whole pain, but it's basically the only way to actually do that. But essentially the public API that faces the user, it doesn't really have that much logic in it. So it's pretty simple to host and stuff. So that's definitely a good thing. So I can just kind of host on a cheap server and not have to worry about that. But the actual backend is where all the logic is done, which is also connected to the Discord bot itself instance. So that definitely requires a lot more resources, although it's still very minimal resources. Like I would probably say maybe we max out at a gigabyte of RAM usage and very little CPU usage at all times. So it's like right now at our scale, it's very easy to run. Although I think we're going to be experiencing some issues in terms of Roblox and their rate limits, because obviously I think even at our scale, we're still not sending that many requests out to Roblox. So it's not really been an issue in terms of that. But once you start sending out a bunch of requests, Roblox will start blocking your requests, or they'll make you do a CAPTCHA. And obviously, with an automated system, we can't automate a CAPTCHA right now. There's ways to do it, but most of them are basically illegal or break Roblox terms of service, and I don't really want to do that. I think there's definitely interesting, like it's definitely an interesting topic of CAPTCHAs, because it's just something that there's literally absolutely zero documentation on. Like you can find nothing on it at all. It's literally the only like GitHub or anything I found on it was a bypassing system that uses a external source that you have to pay money for someone to basically to do your CAPTCHAs for you. So obviously that's not gonna work because that breaks Roblox TOS. You actually have to do the CAPTCHAs yourself. You can't just have a tool that does it for you, even if it is a main person manually doing it, because that kind of defeats the purpose of a CAPTCHA if it's supposed to prevent bots. But yeah, that's definitely a very difficult task because currently Roblox's OAuth system that they created that allows some ranking doesn't really work super well for our circumstance, because it like it resets. You're only gonna have your token last for so long, and then it's gonna expire. And then now you have to have someone. You have to keep every so often. The actual like owner of the group is gonna have to go in and reauthorize, and that's just a pain and kind of stupid. I think I'm gonna continue to like play around with it and possibly maybe integrate it with our bot join request system, where if we could do OAuth temporarily, then you could immediately start using ranking services, but not have the bot in the group yet. And then once the bot joins, then just use the bot and not OAuth anymore. I think that would be definitely interesting to do, because then it would allow you to actually like immediately start ranking. You don't have to wait like possibly up to 48 hours when one of me or the other bot join request people can actually do your requests, because it can take a little while depending on when our availability is. So obviously the goal has been to try and automate it, but there's really no way of automating it right now because Roblox always forces you to do some sort of CAPTCHA when I do it automatically. It's the weirdest thing because when I do it manually, I've never gotten a CAPTCHA. But when you do it automatically, even on the same IP address, everything, Roblox still forces you to CAPTCHA. And obviously, that's not going to work out very well because we have no way of solving a CAPTCHA with a robot. But in terms of kind of like how we even operate is we're really just trying to scale further. We're looking into possibly getting more like a dedicated server that we can use and just put all of our services on that. I think that might be even better than our current hosting system, and it would allow basically essentially no downtime, which would definitely be a plus, and then just probably better performance and better scaling because we have all of the resources there. We don't have to move stuff around. It's just ready to just keep growing as the service grows. Um, and then in terms of just more updates that we're looking into is definitely a dashboard system is something that we really want to add, because I think for Roblox groups it'd be really useful if you could like basically it's because on Roblox obviously you can only give people permissions to rank anybody below their role. They can change anybody's rank. So if you wanted to just be able to, let's say you have a supervisor rank and you want them to be able to promote users from the member to the trainee role, you would have to give them permission to change every role below supervisor. So they could change their role to assistant supervisor or like a full employee, and maybe you don't want that. And you could tell them you can't do that, but they still can physically do that. So with the dashboard system, we're going to try and basically make a new version of the like to interact with Roblox. And instead of you going onto Roblox, you would go into our dashboard and communicate and be able to change people's ranks, which I think is definitely interesting and hopefully be very helpful and allow better management and stuff of Roblox groups. And then I guess back into more technical stuff. We've kind of like there's a lot of things that we still need to look into. in terms of like basically how we operate because nothing has really been made super well. Like the original package that we used through npm for JavaScript is basically not supported anymore. So um, I'm currently working on redoing that and making a brand new like package for interacting with Roblox directly so that we don't have to worry about stupid issues with it deciding actually it's not going to work. And there's all kinds of little random stupid things with it that have been really annoying. And um, we're currently testing out the new system and hopefully getting that released soon. And then that'll also just help with future development because it's all be even easier to develop with because right now it's kind of a pain. Everything's like it wasn't really designed to be made at scale. So obviously things aren't fully set up and there's lots of stupid things that need to be done. And then I guess we also just released, at least at the recording of this, our brand new website. Because obviously we were using Google Sites for a while just because we didn't have time or the money to invest into a website and uh, any site is better than nothing. But we finally got a actual good site that's not complete garbage and it actually looks good and you're able to actually like see useful information. I think it's pretty useful in terms of that. Um, and then another topic of like hosting and stuff is I feel like really there's very limited information out on how to host a Discord bot, what are good services to use. So I've honestly just been kind of searching around as well, and found like tons of different ways that people host because with a Discord bot, it uses very little resources. So there's like basically an endless amount of ways that you can um host a Discord bot. Like you could host it locally, you can purchase a VPS in the cloud and they can host it. You can do all kinds of things like some people use like a Raspberry Pi, which is just a very small little computer that uses very little power and it's plenty powerful enough to run a Discord bot. You basically can run it on anything. I saw someone who modified a phone to host their Discord bot, which is pretty interesting, but you really don't need very much performance. And there's also a lot of free options too out there that you just basically have to get like tokens and they reset every day and you can reclaim more tokens and then allows you to continue hosting your bot for completely free, which is also pretty interesting. Although obviously you could lose in terms of downtime and just the service shutting down randomly are all possibilities. And as obviously it's a free service, so you can't expect that. But there's plenty of like different ways of doing that. Like you could get a full dedicated server, although that's really not needed unless you're at huge scales like 100,000, 200,000 servers is really the scale where it's like you actually need a complete like actual server to run this, not just like a little VPS, um, which is obviously a very large scale that I'm not at, obviously. Some people have reached that scale and it's pretty impressive. And there's lots of like technical things with that you have to think about because at that scale, even little tiny issues with your code that make it slow down a little bit over the scale of all of those um, shards, you're going to have huge performance issues with it, just eating up all your resources for no reason when you could easily be running it way better just by making a few code changes. So obviously, as you scale, you have to look into more custom systems because a lot of the time the systems already out there they're pretty good, but when you need to scale to huge scales, like it just doesn't work very well. Um, and I guess in terms of just Roblox in general, like different things I'm like, I guess we could talk about the new Roblox verification system that they've released where you have to actually verify with ID or a photo your age, which I honestly think is just stupid. There's literally no gain at all. I honestly don't really see how it improves moderation or like anything. You're literally just making your users annoying. There's no real gain that I've personally seen other than now I can't communicate with the majority of the users on the platform. Like, why? Like, I understand there's been plenty of issues, but you can't just block everything. That's not a solution. That's basically just you didn't feel like actually looking into solutions, so you just said, "You know what, let's just not even let people communicate." Like, that's not a solution to a problem. You're just deleting the whole system instead of actually fixing the problem. I think there's plenty of better systems, like, just better moderation. Maybe think about that, or, like, actually banning users who break the rules a lot quicker than what they're doing right now, and maybe scanning messages better, because I feel like it's pretty obvious when someone's saying things in chat that they really shouldn't be saying, and you should have a system in place that will immediately take action and just maybe you ban them from talking in chat. And then all of a sudden, if the person can't talk in chat, they won't be able to communicate with anybody, so they won't be able to break the rules. So there's lots of solutions that I think Roblox could have looked into, and it's just not very smart of them, in my opinion, what they're doing right now. Um, I just wish they really thought about it more than what they did. But obviously, there's really not much that we can change now. We just gotta hope that Roblox maybe decides to make a change, but I highly doubt it based on the fact that they're already this far invested. They've probably put way too much money into this that you could ever imagine. And they're not gonna just randomly decide, actually, we're just gonna undo all of that work. They're gonna continue with that. And now other services like Discord is adding a system kind of similar, although I don't think Discord their verification system is really that bad because it's basically only if you want to access like 18 plus channels. And I'm like, I just don't, with that, in terms of that, I'm like, I don't really care. I guess I'm okay with you having to do that. It doesn't affect me personally. But obviously, I think some people have issues with that, and I don't even use those channels anyway, so I don't plan on verifying. So, but I won't be able to access those channels, obviously, but that's not an issue for me. I think a lot of people have overblown the situation a little bit and just basically act like it's gonna be the end of the world when in fact, actually, no, it's not. The majority of Discord users are not gonna be affected at all. And I always see on all the news stories, they're like, well, Discord claims that 99% of people won't have to do anything. Yes, I know 99% of people won't have to do anything because they don't even use any of the things that it even affects. So it's like, well, you don't obviously you don't need to verify if you're not using any of the channels that you need to verify it for. So that's my opinion. I'm not really too concerned about the Discord one. Roblox I'm annoyed about, but obviously not much is gonna change, and it just keeps expanding. Like Minecraft was looking at, I think they added a system kind of similar where you have to like verify to be able to chat, and it's like that's so dumb. You should not have to do any type of verification to chat in Minecraft, let alone the current system where they censor messages in private realms. Like, what do you mean? You need to censor messages? It's my own realm. Why do you need to moderate my realm? Like, maybe if I was making it public and it was becoming an issue, then you moderate it, but it's obviously not. So I don't see why there need to be moderation. Or maybe if you are, just do very minor. Like, if someone's saying the most extreme things ever, you obviously block that. But if someone is just saying simple swear words, like, why are we blocking it in Minecraft? I don't think I don't think we need a full moderation system in Minecraft. If you don't want to play in the server, don't join the server if you don't like what people are saying in chat. That's my opinion. I think it's just dumb, especially with like how they're forcing servers to basically add rules. Like 2B2T, they basically have to add rules now because otherwise they get blacklisted from people actually using it, playing on the server, which is it's just dumb, in my opinion. Like, it's just a waste of the very limited time that obviously the moderators at, especially the job edition Minecraft, where they blacklist. I think it's the server enforcers, or I forget what it's called, but they are not very good at their job. They're very slow. I've seen people report servers clearly breaking the rules, and nothing gets done, or if something does get done, it's happened like months and months later, which is kind of ridiculous. Like, why have rules if you're not even going to enforce them in the first place? Or if you are, you're going to selectively enforce them and change your rules and not be clear on your rules. And then all of a sudden, people that were not even aware that they're breaking the rules are now blacklisted their servers blacklisted for Minecraft. Like, that's just dumb. That's my opinion. I feel like there's lots of all of these like stupid things like with verification. Like, I don't think you need to verify your ID or your photo to like go on a simple website. Like, we're not talking about banking, we're not talking about anything that really requires verification. And now you're having a privacy issue. Like, it's just dumb. It's like we don't need the government or whatever to start requiring companies to collect our information. Like, we should be doing the opposite. We should be saying, companies, you actually cannot require people to verify with ID to use your service. Like, that's just ridiculous, I think, in my opinion. I think you should just be able to use the service unless you're actually have a legitimate purpose of getting someone's identification and you need to know they're actually a real person. I just think there's lots of dumb things in terms that have been made, and it's just really stupid. I guess back onto the Roblox topic, and like I guess in terms of why I started RankBlox and like what the goals are, I feel like I've really tried to continue keeping features free for everybody. It's just really difficult because like every feature I want everybody to be able to use, but I can't give every feature out for free because if every feature is free, then obviously we're not making money and we're spending money. It's not free to host a bot. It's not free to run all the services, and it takes up a lot of time, and obviously we need to make something. I don't need to personally make money. I just need to not be losing money, basically. So that's kind of been the monetization system that I've kind of been doing right now is just whatever really is either fairly resource intensive or like I can't really guarantee that I work at a super high scale, so I can put it onto premium only and then they can obviously use it and I can at least make some money off of that. And if it requires decent amount of resources, at least I'm making money off that customer. I'm not spending money on them. Because it's not like for me, I still want to like the goal of this was so that small like people who are just starting a Roblox group, they have no funds or very limited funds, can just use RankBlox and be able to do basically everything that the very large Roblox group is doing in terms of ranking and group management, just all for free. And obviously with limits with that because you can't give everything for free unless someone's paying the bill. Um, so I guess the kind of goal that I've had and set is kind of making everything kind of free, but setting limits on it. So like maybe you can only rank 10 people a day on the free plan, and then there's a plan up and up and up. 10 is probably a little bit too low, but just as an example number. Um, but obviously we would probably be looking at a higher number for free and then obviously higher and higher tiers for different size servers because that's kind of how you can like I've seen this sort of like system of monetization is where you have basically the big servers pay for all of the small servers so that they can run for free, but the big servers pay the bill. So it's like I can still offer free services where while still making money because the people that are making money from Roblox, they can basically pay for all the free users. And then it's like, well, then why not give it out for free? If I'm making money, I might as well start giving more features out for free because the goal is not, I need to make a ton of money. The goal is, let's actually make Roblox better and actually make a tool that's actually useful and not just a cash grab and try and steal people's money on stupid stuff. There's definitely a lot of features that are still not done and need to be added to RankBlox because it's in my opinion, it's a pretty good tool. But there's definitely a lot of things that need to be improved and worked on, especially with errors because I don't really manage errors very well in the code. So it's just like I can in the log see exactly what the error is, but the user doesn't get a useful error message. And it's just there's lots of little things like that are just need to be fixed. But I think overall, um, the project's been pretty successful or very successful because 2,500 servers is ridiculous. Don't think I would ever have imagined hitting such a high server count ever. Um, but it's definitely pretty cool to be able to run a service because it's just fun. like to get to play around with all these different tools, and just solve problems. It's just kind of fun to do. It's like just like being able to help people in Roblox run Roblox groups. It's because I've always wanted to run a Roblox group. I just really don't have the time. It's like it's such a high time investment. So I'm like, at least I can make a Discord bot that can be useful. And obviously, we want to expand it to more than just a Discord bot, but that's obviously where we're at right now. And I guess just in terms of this podcast, I guess basically I'm just planning on doing weekly episodes and just kind of talking about all kinds of different things like Roblox, um, technical things about running a Discord bot at scale, and maybe just gaming in general, different topics like that, and just kind of just and stuff about RankBlox obviously directly. That's kind of the goal of this podcast of just talking about some things that I find interesting, and hopefully people are interested as well. So that's all for this first episode. So thank you for listening, and goodbye.